I would start saying this is the hardest task I ever had in my life, talking about self-love in 15 minutes. And after my two dear friends, very expressive, with amazing English and using numbers, I'm a psychologist. I love reflections with no numbers, and we start talking about something that we don't know where we'll get. So I hope you can enjoy, because I enjoy what I'm reading here, and I don't know if you enjoy as well. But my decision is to read my text because it's so difficult to organize some complex ideas in few minutes that my decision is creating this task. I love talking, but I try to be more concise. And I read slowly to give you time to digest what I'm saying. And of course, if you have any questions, we'll have time for that later. And if you want me to share with you this text, I can type this and share with you by email. So I have some assumptions. They're important to understand the knowledge. The first one is we don't know what love is. This is one assumption. So what is the criteria to say what is love? For example, when someone loves us, what is the criteria you have? How do you know if someone loves you or not? I think, if they do what we want, we say they love us. If they serve us, we say they love us. And if they don't do that, we don't believe they love us. And the same, we don't know what self-love is. We don't have these criteria to understand, and most of the time, we treat ourselves in the same way our parents treated us. Or sometimes we do the opposite. But we don't have internal references to understand how to treat ourselves or how we deserve to be treated. Another assumption, we misunderstand self-love and narcissism. So we think self-love is promoting ourselves, is looking after our appearance, is spending money with us and say, oh, now I'm looking after myself and I love myself. I'm learned with my psychologist. I'm sorry, this is not true. Leave your psychologist. You don't know, and he doesn't know what you are doing as well. And we misunderstand self-love and pride. So we can't say something nice about us. We think this is wrong. And if someone compliments us, we think we need to diminish ourselves because it's a problem. We misunderstand self-love and selfishness. So I think we didn't understand what Jesus said when he says we need to deny ourselves to following him. What is to deny yourself? Do you understand that? Have you thought about that? What does it mean for you? Deny yourself. How to combine deny yourself and what he also said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So he was saying you need to love yourself. Self-love in this term is a requirement for loving others. Self-love is a measure. So the more you love yourself, the more you are able to love others. Do you agree? Okay. Having said that, you realize that even if we had 3 hours, we wouldn't be able to understand self-love properly. And I want to bring two important conclusions from studying psychology and spiritism. Love is not an act, and love is not a choice. And I suppose some of you will disagree, and I will explain. Love is not an act, and love is not a choice. I'm saying love is not an act. It's not a rational decision. Love is a feeling. And feelings happen inside us, within us. You can express or not express what you're feeling. But it's not your decision what you are feeling. Have you thought about that? You can translate love in action. If you love someone, you can translate into actions. But you can't decide, or you can't have this option to love someone. If I bring a random man here and say, can you love him? Just do this or this. If I bring a random man here and say, can you love him? If you say yes, you don't understand what love is. If I tell you he's a criminal and describe some horrible things he has done, you may start disliking him. At the same time, if I describe all suffering he experienced as a child, or humiliations and abuse, you feel something different. You may have sympathy towards him. Even when we present a criminal to his mom, she loves him. And even if in many occasions he may hurt her, she will still love him. So do you understand when I say love is not an act? Love is something that happens within us. You can't decide to love someone. At the same time, you can decide to love yourself. The more, and this is another conclusion from psychology, the more you try to love yourself, because we have a very egocentric mindset, the further away you'll be from true love. Don't try to love yourself. This is my advice. What's the topic? Love yourself. Okay, you get that. My advice is don't try to love yourself. You are going to make a mess. Nowadays, love yourself, I can hear many people saying, oh, I'm defining boundaries. I learned how to say no. I'm looking after myself. This is just act. If you don't love yourself with this shallow understanding, you only hurt people around you. You will only hurt people around you and make a big or real mess. Many people think that they don't love themselves because they have problems, defects. So they believe if they change their behavior, if they will be better person, beautiful, great, patient, developed, or evolved person, they will love themselves as well. And again, I say this is not true. You love many people regardless their behaviors or their defects. In reality, some of my conclusions is we don't know exactly why we love someone. What we know in psychology is when you are pressuring yourself to change in order to be loved, what you are saying to yourself is, you are not good enough. Who you are doesn't deserve to be loved. So the more you try to change who you are in order to love yourself, the less you love yourself because you are disconnected from yourself, your inner truth. Did you get that? Can I carry on? Or stop from here? Okay. One person said carry on. I think I can carry on. Love is not a choice, he said. Choice comes from the ego in psychology. The ego, have you heard about it? Just this or this? The ego is the conscious part of our mind. The ego is the smallest part of our mind. Jung compares the psyche, or our mind, as an ocean, and the ego as a cork, wine cork, floating on the ocean. And in his psychology, he will say love is the presence of God within us. Love, for Jung, in Jungian theory, is the presence of God within us. It's not about ego. It's not about decision. So this is what I'm saying. You can't say, I will love myself, or put effort to do something because you are making a mess. What we have in our minds, what we know about ourselves, is nothing compared to who we are. And this is perfectly understandable when it comes to reincarnation. We've been living thousands of lives, experience. So I can't choose what I feel because my feelings now are consequence of billions of experiences across many, many lives. It's so egocentric, believe that you can decide what you feel. Now, I suppose you are feeling frustrated about yourself, or maybe frustrated about me, or about this lecture, because we are facing the powerlessness of being human. Do you understand the term? Do you want me to repeat? Powerlessness. Do you understand this? Powerlessness of human being. But remember what God said to Paul. He was living a very difficult moment trying to change his behavior. And God said, when you are powerless, God said, I am the strong one. When facing our weakness, we open ourselves for God to inhabit us. And God is love, as John said. So, by accepting your weakness, you will start loving yourself. Do you understand what I mean? Yes. By accepting your weakness, you will start loving yourself. It is the opposite of what we've learned our entire life. When you want to be strong, great, amazing, the ego is powerful. And because the ego is powerful, there is no space for God. When you are aware of your weakness, your smallness, God is strong and powerful. This is what I think when Jesus said, deny yourself. God inhabited Paul not because he was crap. Pay attention, please. Otherwise, you get this wrong. God inhabit you not because you are crap, diminishing yourself. God inhabits you because you connect to the truth. And human beings not strong all the time. So when you say, I'm weak, in that time, when Paul realized he was weak, he was connected to the truth. So when you assume you are weak, God inhabits you. Or another example, when you make a mistake, have you made a mistake? When you make a mistake, and you assume your mistake, and you recognize your limitations, God inhabits you because you found the truth. When you need to do more, is the opposite example, pay attention. When you need to do more, and when you want to give up, and when you stop and silence yourself and discover you can go further, is your truth in that moment, so you find God. When you find your truth, you are loving yourself. Do you understand that? When you find the truth or your truth, you are loving yourself. Doesn't matter if it's something positive or if it's something negative. Is your truth in that moment. And this is God in you, and this is love in you. Jesus said, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It's not about being right or wrong. It's not about being beautiful or ugly. It's about the reality of what is. So when you found the truth, you are connected to God. Therefore, connected to love. So to conclude, what the ego can do is not to love as a decision or action. What the ego can do is look for the truth. This is its choice. This is its act. Look for who you are and assume the truth, because this is the biggest challenge. Find and bear the truth. Find and bear who you are with no fear, no judgment, understanding and accepting who you are without ego defenses. Give up the need to be great. Give up the expectation to be amazing. And this will give you the strength to find the truth, to find God within you. The act or the choice is to know yourself. And when you find who you are, your inner truth will allow God to manifest within you. And we can call this self-love. And of course, the next question is how to discover myself. And this is another talk, maybe for SPIRITISMx 2025.